but it started at least a dozen years ago with the efforts of Bernie Auer to try to be a watchdog on comprehensive growth and the extent to which the plan might be controverted by other interests. I thought it would be useful for all of you to get a little bit of a snapshot about us, because frankly, we're all in this together, and I cannot emphasize that point more strongly, nor over and over, than I will try to do today. In any event, let me just tell you, the mission of the Guardians of Martin County is, in fact, on a little card, to be found on a little card at the back table. And very simply, it is to educate the residents of Martin County on environmental issues that impact our quality of life. That also is very straightforward. And what we have seen over the last year, or I should say maybe 2 years, with the fights against Canopus, the intensification of the densities at the Hope Sound Polo Field, and subsequently the Extreme Motorsports Park, and of course Hope Grove, and with Harmony in the background. An effort that we were undertaking entitled Save Martin Now. And I'm not going to be so foolish as to suggest that we have actually saved Martin, but I think now, given the fact that we have had success, that indeed we have a commission majority of 4-1, generally speaking, that is favorably inclined towards maintaining the comprehensive plan, we are moving, in effect, our watchwords to the following phrase: we want to be the advocates of responsible growth. The advocates of responsible growth. If we have the opportunity, we want to change the vocabulary of the debate from no growth, slow growth, anti-growth, against growth. We want people to think in terms of being the advocates of responsible growth. Because we can all adopt that banner. It's very straightforward. Over the last 5 years, I thought you might be interested in the following statistics. The Guardians of Martin County, which has now become a 501c3, therefore contributions to the Guardians are fully tax deductible, has received over 500 donations. Over 300 of those donations came from people living on the mainland, which is just marvelous. The next highest category is the constituency at Jupiter Island, with approximately 120 to 130, and then those who live in Loblolly. Those are our 3 funding bases as we look at them. Over the last year, or 18 months, we consumed $180,000 of the over $400,000 that we raised in the effort that we all pursued to try to save Martin County. Now we're very eager to find new ways of raising money, and if we had our druthers, I will tell you unequivocally, I would like to move towards establishing a land trust. I would like to see us endow a group that is able to buy strategically located properties throughout the county to make sure that the wrong kind of development should never take place on their neighbors' lands. I hope you all agree with that, but certainly think about that as an objective down the road. I want to suggest that there has been a slight shift that's detectable in the public domain, too, that represents the transition that we're naturally trying to make from Save Martin Now to advocacy for responsible growth. I thought it was extremely telling that the Stewart News over the last 3 weeks has had 2 editorials that have finally demonstrated at least somebody on the editorial board is thinking appropriately about conservation. The first had to do with the wetlands, and that was, I think, 3 Sundays ago on the first page of the second section of the paper, and then within the last 10 days we had their editorial about the wetlands. I'm sorry, about the supermajority. So I think that's a very positive sign. The last point I want to make before introducing my colleague Greg Braun is I want you all to recognize who we are. And I say this very respectfully. We are all sitting in this room, I dare say, most of us over the age of 50. We're engaged in this battle for ourselves, for our style of life and quality of life that we have now. But in fact, it's going to be our children, it's going to be others who come into the county for whom we are really trying to save the county and to create the right kind of environment for them to grow and prosper. with their families, in their jobs, and so on. So I'd like to leave the podium before I introduce Greg with this admonition. Please, everybody, when you leave this meeting, think of proselytizing, think of spreading our message to at least 5 other people. Get their emails, send their email addresses to me. We need to expand our group, because if we are all united, then I think we have a really good chance of preventing the wrong kind of development. At this moment, I'd like to trot out my 1775 speech. Remember, those of us who can. In 1775, there were 13 disparate colonies, and they all united on one major premise, which was to rid themselves of the rule of the queen, king, whoever it was. The fact of the matter is, that's really where we're going. If we all work together, we at the Guardians are delighted to work with 1,000 Friends, with the Conservation Alliance. We have funding. We will make it available for the right kinds of projects that represent smart and responsible growth. So please, when you leave this room, think of that you're going to identify 5 additional people, and you're going to charge each of them in turn to identify 5 people, and so on, and so on. Because the more people we can get behind this consolidated banner, the better we're going to be. Enough of my exhortation. Now I'll